How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today I am bringing you a Fatherland IS-3A brand new tank that's come into the game during this latest operation that they have given out for free if you manage to pick up all 5 medals that I did a little kind of review and overview over the operation. It's finished now, so you can no longer get it if you wanted to get it for free, but you can purchase it in the store for a ridiculous amount of gold, which I wouldn't recommend anyway. So this is a review for any of you guys that actually managed to pick it up and want to see how you should kind of play it in game and how it will work out against other tier 8 heavies. I got a decent gameplay for you guys. I didn't manage to record my 5.5k damage game in this. I might pop up a screenshot just as proof, I guess, that I did actually manage to pick up 5.5k, but I have got a decent gameplay for you anyway in the minutes to come, so I'll put a link to the time where you can just skip ahead if you don't want to look at the actual stats in game in the garage. But let's get straight on right now. So in game it has some decent armor values. It's got 121 to kind of 91 to 120, and then also plates of 121 to 160. So the main kind of armor angle on this is this pike nose on the front of the hull. Now this can pull off supreme kind of bounces every now and again, especially against mediums at the tier that you're playing at. However, if you come up against other heavy tanks, they are more than likely going to pen if they see your kind of... Considering this is quite low profile, if they can kind of face hug you, they can shoot down onto your lower plate, making the effective armor of the tank worse on the whole. So they're going to be able to pen you quite reliably, and that is one thing that you've got to be aware of when you're trying to go face to face with something. However, you do get a decent amount of gun depression to be able to shoot at their hull as well, so it's kind of a trade-off. You get really good turret armor as well, except from the patch right above the gun mantlet. As you can see, it's purple on the top, and that can be overmatched by mostly all tanks in the game if they can hit it. But with this turret, in comparison to the IS-3 turret, it's a lot lower profile, and you're not going to be able to actually reliably pen that as well, which is kind of a bonus with this tank. However, you can still see it, especially if you're taller than the tank, and it is therefore a weak spot of the tank. You've also got the lower plate, which is also a weak spot, but it's well angled on this, and you've got quite a good chance of bouncing. As you can see, it's quite steep, but it is a weak spot yet again with 91 to 120 millimeters of armor. The turret, cheeks you're not going to really pen unless you've got really high penetration, like a Jaeger heat shell or something like that. But even then, Russian spaced armor of the gun mantlet as well might get in the way, and you're not going to really fire at the kind of turret of this tank unless you know you're going to pen like on the side or something. Side of the tank, it looks like it has very little armor on the side. However, that is not necessarily the case due to the whole fact of it having spaced armor on the sides. I don't know, yeah, there we go, 21 to 30 millimeters of spaced armor. I believe it is 30 millimeters of spaced armor. Therefore, when you shoot it with something like heat, it gets absorbed by spaced armor, and also the tracks act as spaced armor as well. So the side of the tank is actually quite supremely armoured, especially if they hit this spaced armor. It can pull up bounces of well over 400 millimeters of armor, so you don't want to be shooting at that if you can avoid it. Try and aim in between the tracks. As you can see, there's a little gap there in between them both. If I just go onto all of them, you see the little green bar in the middle there. If you shoot there, you're going to pen with 71 to 90 millimeters plus of penetration. So definitely aim for that sort of area there in between the tracks and the spaced armor above. And if you can't hit that, then try and get around the rear, since that has 51 to 70 millimeters. It is well angled though, so it's going to be slightly higher than that, so make sure that you're going to actually hit if you can see it. And that's something you want to take note of: the well armored angled rear and the sides and the front. It's going to mean that if you just auto aim for centre of mass as you're moving around in something like a bulldog or a light tank, you're not actually going to pen at that sort of angle on the rear, and therefore it's not actually going to kind of get you any damage. So make sure you're flat on when you're aiming at this tank especially. So that is the armour. We're going to go and have a look at the gun now. If I wasn't a potato and moved off of the armour view. And so what you might notice about this is it has a much better reload speed, I believe by 0.6 something. I believe it's 0.64 like rate of fire, so you're going to be able to bring down the reload consistently against the IS-3. So that is the actual tank in game that everyone can get if you progress through the Russian heavy tank line up to tier 8 through the IS and then the IS-3, and then you go to the T10 and then the IS-7. So if you go that line, this is at tier 8, that's what you're going to get. This has therefore a lot lower reload speed overall, so it's 11.7 base reload speed. I've managed to get it down to about 9.65 I believe, or something like that, but you can bring it down even further to about 9.4 or 9.3 or something. Insane really for a tank at this tier, especially considering it is a heavy tank. The way that they have, although, kind of balance this entirely is what they've done is they've just whopped up the bloody aim time, so it takes so long to aim in, 3.4 seconds, so it's not great, and it just kind of cannot shoot from distance either, so you can't really snipe in this tank, considering it also has 0.46 accuracy, and that is just not what you want. So make sure you're trying to get into engagement where you're up close and personal. Preferably hold down to avoid them seeing the lower plate, and therefore you're going to result in more bounces. It does get 5 degrees of gun depression, so it's not actually that bad considering it's a heavy tank once again, and the mediums at tier 10 can sometimes only get 3 degrees of gun depression, and therefore it kind of makes this tank quite good in certain situations, but I don't really like it personally. And that's something you have to be a kind of aware of when you're playing these tanks. I might like it, you might hate it, and therefore I might hate it and you might love it. So it's really making sure that you just understand what the positives and negatives are without any bias to start with, and then I give my opinion in the actual gameplay and stuff like that from just what I've been playing like and everything else. So you might be a much better player than me and you can pull off much better damage games and use it much better than me, but it's kind of just an average. One thing that is bad about this is it also has a much weaker engine in comparison to the IS-3. This is 520 horsepower and a mediocre power to weight ratio of about 10.65 horsepower to ton. Now you can get up to 40 kilometers an hour. It does shift, but the acceleration up to that is pretty slow, and is something you want to be aware of. However, there is one kind of advantage to this tank as well in terms of the armour, is that it is quite small, like in width, so you can actually get into positions like on Abbey. You can actually go through those little holes in like doorways in the side of Abbey, which I might make a couple videos about, like the different spots on different maps, so I might make a compilation of that sort of thing for you guys to have a look at anyway. Track traverse is actually pretty decent, 26 degrees a second, and the turret traverse is 22 degrees a second, so you can pull that up to 48 degrees a second, so that's not too bad, especially since you are a heavy tank, and some mediums have around that as well. You've got 350 meters view range, which is okay, but you can bring that up to 400 if you run things like the 10% rations, or if you run a signal boosting and that sort of thing. Not signal boosting, situational awareness, my bad, and recon. You can get that up to a decent amount. As you can see, I have got oh no, this is my tank destroyer crew, so that's what I've been training, so it doesn't actually have recon or situational awareness. It is fairly good in terms of the gun. It's got a decent gun, however, in terms of alpha damage, so you got 390, typical of the 122mm that it does feature, and you can get some decent damage games if you just keep on firing and firing and firing, as you'd expect. If you just keep on shooting damage, then you're going to be pulling up really good games. You've got around, I believe, 200mm of penetration, or it might even be 175 thinking about it, but it's, I don't know, it just feels pretty mediocre, and you can often bounce a lot of your shots if you don't fully aim them into the weak spots, and it does get heat as its secondary ammunition. As you can see, I'm running 17 APCR, so it does get APCR as standard. It gets heat as its premium, and it also gets HE as you'd expect with a heavy tank. So the heat penetration is actually quite good, so it does increase it a fair old amount, up to about 260 or something like that. But it's definitely worth firing it if you kind of sketchy against something like an E100 and E75, and your standard is kind of you're unsure whether it's going to pen or not. So that is basically the tank overall. You don't have great concealment, to be honest with you. Your mobility isn't great either. Your spotting isn't fantastic, but you can get away with it if you run perks like recon, situational awareness. You're also running binocs, etc. if you're stationary, or if you want to run something like coated optics, etc. I run currently vents and gun rammer. You might want to run vents, gun rammer, and something like coated optics if you want to increase the view range, or the gun laying drive, or vert stabs. Vert stabs obviously are better if you just want to get pure, just better accuracy. However, the thing is, it's 100 grand more. If you don't have 100 grand, then you don't want to spend it on the tank. And then it's kind of up to you. I just run this for a moneymaker, which it seems to do pretty well at. And the consumables I run are small repair kit, small first aid kit, and combat rations. Obviously it's a premium tank, so a lot of you won't want to run combat rations. I just use it just to try and get a better gameplay for you guys to have a look at, so bear that in mind that I have got combat rations on in the gameplay, which is coming up in just a second. Obviously it's got the camouflage, so you get the bonus of camo factor, and I haven't put any inscriptions or emblems on. I recently just got my 2-year kind of emblem, and that is basically it for the actual gameplay, well, for the review. Now it's time to go on to the gameplay, which I'll see you in just a second. We are here with the gameplay, and we have got one on the brand new map. It's Duke Pass, so this came out in the last update. And this is a map that people are getting used to now, I suppose, after having never played it before. I actually find this map kind of good for the majority of tanks. You've got the heavy tank lines where you can go on the right hand side and that sort of thing, but since everyone's still a bit new to this game mode, then, well, kind of the map even, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up, which is great. You can get into positions like this where you can get shots on a lot of different tanks, and I decided to go for the Leopard there. So we've got into this spot. The game's gone on for a fair old while before we've managed to actually pick up any sort of damage. We get a shot on the side of the IS-3, but you know, Russian sidearmer, you just bounce off anyway. And we're just trying to get as much damage as we can here. Aiming the shot, get another shot into the Leopard PTA. So this gameplay is not necessarily my best gameplay I've ever had, nor do I claim it to be. It's just a very, it's a decent gameplay is what I'd say. I'd say it's a good game in the IS-3A, or the Fatherland as you would want to call it. And if you can get shots in like this, then you're definitely doing something alright anyway. When you can use this kind of 9.47 seconds, I believe it is the reload. Yeah, it is, yeah. So 9.47 second reload, and you can put out 390. If you can manage to hit your shots, unlike there, you can certainly rack up the damage and get some really high damage gameplays. I think I've had 2 5.3k damage plus gameplays. I've had one 5.5k and one 5.3k. Both were not masteries, so you got to do something pretty well to be able to get any sort of real impact in the game. As you can see, we're down 8-1. They've only lost one tank, and we have lost a fair old few more. Looks like it's going to be a loss, so I'm just here trying to get as much damage as I can. E75 fire and heat there, trying to kill us. But we don't let him have a shot, and we push down to just try and get some more damage out of this game. I mean, I should have played a bit more in the start of the game, but look there. a bounce on the top of a Leopard PTA. I tried recording it, but I realised if I'm streaming I can't actually record on the console. We'll try and see if we can get a shot from the E75 here. So here is the Oni. We decide to just aim our shot. See, look how long the reload, the aim time is, and it's really not something that is very nice in this tank. You've just got to try and, it's kind of hit and hope really with these sorts of shots. 9 times out of 10 they'll bloody go miles off from where you aim them and go above the tank somehow, but we're just trying to get in as much damage here now. So we got 6 pens, which is fairly good. I'd have taken that in this sort of battle, especially since our team have been steamrolled by the enemies, or the red team, whatever you'd rather call them. But we decide, hang on a minute, I'm just going to get as much damage as I can here now. Load up some normal rounds, don't want to be wasting the credits that I could possibly be earning. And we're going to push our advantage against all of these people. As you can see, rear of Fatherland, bounce. The Russian troll armor. It does get me every single time. So I'm thinking, oh, bollocks to it. Let's just go. Try and get a shot into this Fatherland again. Aim it, aim it, aim it. 334. Massive low roll. Minus like 56 there. That's the thing, like, you only really notice when you actually low roll. So we decide that that's not worth the shot. We're just going to wait here. We've got 8 pens now. We're up to 1 kill. And the Fatherland decides he's going to just YOLO. And he tracks us, but we damage him. To be fair to me, I should have probably just stayed here. I see that the E75 is pushing, and I think, right, I've just got to kill this bloke now. Forgetting that there is also another Fatherland. At this point, I should have stayed up here, waited for the Fatherland to push me, killed him, and then managed to get some more damage. Instead, I YOLO down in towards both of them, and only tracked the E75 there. IS-3A, or the Fatherland, comes up behind me again, hits me, takes my track off. We get one more shot into the E75, and this is what I mean about trying to focus the low health targets. I was just focusing the E75 when I really shouldn't have, trying to get our gun round, but the gun depression off over the rear of the tank is just god awful, and I was just hoping for just some RNG there, but no luck. E75 reloads and shoots us straight in the turret, I believe, in the back of the turret. He was lucky to actually pen that, to be fair. He was getting a poor angle on the side of our turret. But that's how the game finishes anyway. We've got 11 pens, 2 kills, and 3 critical hits, or whatever you would like to call them. And then we come out with 3,760 damage, 2 kills, and 880 blocked. Now that's nothing on a previous gameplay where I got 5.4k, I blocked 3.9 thousand damage, and it was on Ensk War. I'm going to show the clip right now, so you'll be seeing this in the background of just the kind of carnage that I caused in that game. You won't see the actual gameplay because my recording software corrupted all of the files from like a whole day, so this has been shifted like a whole day in the future, which is really annoying. So that's always good when like you lose 15 games of pretty decent games, like 4k pluses. I think I had 4,000 damage games, more than like 4,000, but oh well, what can you do? That's just something you have to deal with, and I'll have to post this up because otherwise I'm going to be way behind schedule on uploads. I've got like a video explaining the operation and what I thought was bad about that coming up tomorrow, I believe, and the way Wargaming could have handled it a lot better rather than what they actually did. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of the Fatherland. If you did, please hit that like button, or go check out some of my other content on my channel by just clicking on the kind of little icon below the video, and you can have a look at some of the other videos. If you like them, then there's always a subscribe button either below here if you just want to subscribe straight away, or after you've had a look around there'll be a subscribe button on my channel that you can always click on. Feel free to do that. If you don't want to, then you don't want to. make sure to comment down below any questions or anything you want to kind of talk to me about, and also talk to others in the comment section below about the Fatherland. What's your opinions on it anyway? I hope you guys once again have liked the video, and I will see you in the next one.